Christ Talk on May 30th, 2023. Today we have Bill Walters here with us. You're going to enjoy him. He is an insurance man and also a Christian. So we're going to talk about a number of different things on there. I think you will find it very interesting. Um, I want to give out a shout out to special thanks to Wingate TV, Transform You Media, Zach with Pack Channel, and Jay Stoyhan with Disability Channel for hosting our show. Please be sure to share and subscribe to our page or wherever you found this. Okay, let's get kicked in here. Hello, Bill. How are you today?
I
We're
am
the day. We're
I
the
am
day
grateful.
after. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Say what you were going to
I'm
say. There.
grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful and I'm blessed. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Um, so what I'm going to get into the insurance part of what you do, and before I do that, though, I'm going to talk to you. You're a born again Christian. You're a follower of Jesus Christ. So I want to get a little history on you. Um, how did you grow up? What was your family very religious? How did you find the Lord, and that type of thing? So take it away, Bill.
Well, thank you. I grew up in Haddon Heights, New Jersey, and my family was not very religious. I was raised Catholic, but um, I was one of those creasters that attended Christmas and Easter, and I went to at what they called CCD in my area, which was an after school program, and I did that from um, kindergarten through the end of eighth grade, and got my confirmation and my Holy Communion.
Okay.
So upon getting that, I was always in trouble for asking questions. And I, my fingers are, you can see, are crooked, uh, getting whacked by the nuns on my hands for asking questions, such as, where does it say in the Bible that you have to wear purple at Easter? And it doesn't say in the Bible anywhere about you have to give up something for Lent. And did they know about the Pope who owned the fishery? And that's why that rule was passed that you can't eat meat on Fridays and Wednesdays and Sundays so that the people would eat fish, et cetera, et cetera. So I kept asking questions and kept getting whacked. And I knew that eventually it wasn't for me.
Okay. Good. I'm a Catholic, ex-Catholic too, and I went to two different Catholic grade schools, and I was abused by the nuns probably a little bit more than you were, and it kind of caused me to become an atheist. Uh, 30 years later, Jesus found me, and I'm a born again Christian now. So it's a similar background. It's very interesting what you said there. Okay, so keep going. Tell us how that changed, and when did you become a follower of Jesus?
So I always believed in God, and I always thought that I had a direct connection to God. And part of that direct connection was to be able to talk to Him. And when I was getting married for the first time, a priest said to me that, you know, being Catholic is not like an a la carte line. You don't get to pick and choose what you like and don't like about the religion. It's either all in or all out. And so I asked him some basic questions like, how is it that you get to hear the sins when I can have just a direct hotline to God and speak to Him, and that I know that He'll forgive me as long as I change my behaviors and don't repeat the same offense again and make it a habit. And the second thing I asked him was that, how do you get into heaven? And he couldn't give me a straight answer other than by being a good person. And I knew that was incorrect in my heart. So, and I said, I don't know. I said, if you read the Bible, that black thing that's in all the pews, it kind of says that the only way to get into heaven is through the Son. And you have to ask, and then you're let in. And you have to ask him to be your Lord and Savior. And so he's like, he didn't have an answer for me because I don't think he wanted the answer. And I actually don't think he actually read the Bible. So, I mean, I had to prove it to him where it was. So, it's a well read Bible is kind of wide open and it's all broken. His wasn't well read. So, I knew I wasn't on the right path. And eventually I found the right path. So, you want to know how I got saved, correct?
Yep, that's were you saved when you met your wife and got married, or was this after?
So I got saved after I got divorced. There was a lot of things that were going on in my life that were not good. I was that time I was running a transportation business, and I got embezzled from. And one moment I was on top of the world, and the next moment I didn't have anything. So I had to shut down a business that's been in operations for 7 years, and sell my house, sell my uh, properties that I owned for the transportation business, as well as all my assets, and pay as many bills off as I could, in which I did, and walked out and had to reinvent myself. So, but it got worse, and essentially, I hit rock bottom approximately like 8 weeks later, 8, 9 weeks later, after the business finally closed. And what ended up happening was, is I prayed out loud, and I just asked for help. And the phone rang, and it was somebody I went to high school with who I didn't know had my phone number. And he said he was contacted by a friend who said I needed help. And he reached out and asked if we could have a conversation. And uh, we did at breakfast, and we had a nice conversation, and it led me to going to church. Had tons of questions, and they got answered, and then got entered into Bible study, and then um, basically uh, in December of 2008, um, it was December 10th in 2008. I asked the Lord to be my Savior, and then I was baptized approximately 6 months later.
Very good. Um, what church do you go to now? And do your wife and you go to church now?
So my wife lives in Birmingham, Alabama, and I live in uh, Collingswood, New Jersey. So the so we see each other about every 3 to 6 weeks, and I do attend her church in Birmingham, and then here I attend church as well. I attend two types of churches. I attend Kingsway in Cherry Hill, which is a larger church, and I also attend Collingswood United Methodist Church in Collingswood, New Jersey. So I attend both services on a
Oh,
Sunday.
okay. So your wife and you live in two different places most of the time, but then you get back together. So that must be kind of tough on you guys, isn't it?
It's kind of good because what happens is that she's very focused on her career and her industry and her business, and it allows me to focus on helping people and making a difference in other people's lives, and not having to really work by a time clock or to answer to someone, if that makes sense, right? So this
Yep.
way,
Yep.
if I'm just taking care of others, I don't have I'm never late for dinner, right? I'm not in trouble for missing something, right? Because I'm helping someone else.
Right. Very good. And before we got on here, we were talking about you have a daughter, and she's 22 years old, and she's in the emergency room today. Is that right?
Yeah, she's there with right side of her chest pain, and she so she's in the emergency room. So as soon as we're done the podcast, I'm going to head over to keep her company. In my heart of heart and in my guts, I don't think it's a major deal. I think it's indigestion, but um, once she is checked in, I just don't have the details of anything else.
Okay. Well, maybe before you, let's pray for her right now while we're thinking about it. Um, Lord, what's your daughter's name, Bill?
Her name is Tammy.
Lord, I just raised Tammy up to you right now, and she's in the emergency room, and Bill needs to head over there. I just want to pray for her and her physical. Lord, I just ask that what he just said, that it would be indigestion and not something worse. I ask that you would be right with her and then him when he comes there, and then he would lay hands on her when he gets there. I would just I ask you to heal her. And Lord, I just ask this all in Jesus' name. Okay, so we did that. So I want to talk to you about, we were going to get you on Jaw's Coffee Chat a couple different times, and it just didn't work out. And then we decided to have a podcast of your own. You are in the insurance business, and I'm going to read a little bit about what you have on your website here, if you don't mind. And let me do that. It says insurance and financial guidance for perfectly imperfect families. Boy, is that a good one. And it says, I'm Bill Walters, and I know that you'd like to deal with, it's like to deal with complicated family needs. It said that before you became an advisor, you had to care for your mother who suffered from dementia. Can you tell us
Sure. So in 2015, my dad was it started the onset of this dementia and Alzheimer's, and her form of dementia was Lewy B, which is a different type of dementia, and ultimately what it led to was I had no knowledge of what it was like, and I didn't have the education, so I learned from love and labor, and I made some mistakes. But what I did learn was the importance of many different variables. One, getting organized, keeping everything in a central spot, creating a game plan for her daily activities, meaning medication, food intake, uh, mood, and just a checklist of overall like a descriptions. When we eventually brought in help from our church as PCAs or personal care assistants, um, she would have two different shifts of help for 3 to 4 hour stints. We eventually gave the bathing up of her to these individuals so that she would get bathed 3 times a week. I learned about adult diapers and the best ones that have long lasting effect, which means incontinence. And the important thing to know is that there are diapers that are out there that can last for upwards of 12 hours so that you don't have to worry about, um, you know, urinating through a diaper and soiling a bed, bed alarms, having rest there, things like that, removing, having handrails installed in the bathroom, both to get up and to pull yourself up. Um, Having someone go with your parent to a doctor visit so you get the truth instead of what they remember. These are just some of the little things. Removing phone scams. I mean, her brother stole $4,000 from her, right? So you have to watch everybody. Uh, Phone scams, relative scams. You have to be on top of everything, what they eat, how they eat it, when they consume their medicine. Because when you have dementia,
wow.
she sometimes took her medicine more than once a day. And one night
Wow.
I had to sit up with her throughout the whole night and then go to work the next day because she overtook her medicine and we saw it missing from her medicine disbursement. And that's when we decided to have the medicine be distributed by us and then handed out by the caretaker at the proper times so that we knew that she was taking it at the proper times.
Wow. Okay. I guess when you're dealing with dementia, you're, and it's pretty sad that it happens to our parents and everything, but those individuals revert to almost like they're a child again. So you were really having to deal with your mom, but she was a child. Were there times, is your mom still alive? Number one.
Now, she passed in 2021, and there's no regret in having her around and being my third child. She raised me, and so there was never a time that I thought that it was too much. I just wish I was better at it than I was in the beginning. And once I learned what I had to learn, I didn't want someone else to have their learning curve be so long.
Okay. Okay. Uh, People deal with this all over the world, and that's one of those diseases. When I go to see the creator of the universe, I'm going to ask him about dementia. What is that all about? What good did it serve? I know everything is done for a reason, and sometimes we just don't know about it right away. Sometimes it's many years later, and sometimes we never really know. We never really get the understanding behind it. But I think at dementia, when our children get involved with us, because I'm 71, and I don't, at this point, I don't think I have any problems, or my wife either. But you never know when the onset could come on and take over. I think it has us a lot of times to deal with our lives, our families, and what's going on. And like you just said, your mother raised you. And how does that look? How do we understand that? And sometimes I think about my mother after my dad died, and I have regrets too because I don't feel like I did enough for her. I didn't quite understand that, and I guess sometimes we don't know that until we go through it ourselves. I'm going through a lot of things that my mom went through at this age. How old are you, Bill?
I'm 57.
Okay,
So,
so you're just a spring chicken.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit behind you. I'm 14 years behind you, but I can tell you this that even at your age, it's still important to get your wishes in writing about how you want to have things done long term. And most people up to age 74 can still get long term care insurance. That's really important because if they want to stay at home and and not go into either assisted living or a full-time nursing home, they can still write out a plan that of their exact wishes and how they want that paid for. So it's really important if you're an aging adult or if you're a parent to have that conversation with your parents and it be a conversation to get their wishes and desires in writing so that everyone can follow them and not just throw them in the home because that's the easiest solution because it's not because it's about affordability and what the homes look like and the safety and well-being of the parent. And so it's just like no two human beings are alike, right? Well, there's no two nursing home situations are alike. And if you can get to a caretaking situation, you want it to be fine tuned to the real wishes of that individual.
Uh, I'm really, um, I'm really glad you brought this up because we're right. My wife and I moved into a double wide mobile trailer about a little over a year ago. and we live in the Phoenix area, and we moved from Tempe to Mesa. We got a nice place here, but I'm disabled. I had a hip replacement that became infected, and this has been about 12 years now. And they eventually, I went through 10 operations trying to fight the infection, and then eventually they had to cut off 4 inches of my femur bone. So I use a walker to get around, but it's really tough on my wife in a lot of ways, and we don't want to separate and live separately, but we never know. So tell me a little bit more about this um, long-term care insurance. You offer that as part of your insurance business?
Yeah. So first of all, I guess the best way, there are possibilities for everyone, right? So the first thing that I'm going to discuss with you is a conversation, right? So if someone has it as a priority that they would like to discuss long-term care, the average age that people start thinking about it and acting upon it is between the ages of 50 and 55. And as I stated earlier, um, you can get long-term care insurance up to the age of 74 as far as purchasing it. But you could be as young as 19 to go get it. It just matters what is best for you and in your priorities. And so what the key thing to figure out about long-term care insurance is not necessarily what you want, it's but how you want to be taken care of in the latter portions of life. And the average length of stay on long-term care insurance is normally 48 to 51 months is the average stay. And most of the occurrences for long-term care insurance happen between the ages of 82 and 86. So what am I saying? In order to qualify for long-term care insurance, you know, two of the six basic necessities of life have to be not working properly. So the ability to bathe oneself, the ability to feed oneself, if the person is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, um, you know, balance, cooking one's own meals, doing one's own wash, or taking care of their house. If these things become difficult or impossible for someone to do, right, they're going to be eligible for long-term care insurance. And if you're younger, the biggest benefit, most policies, for every dollar you invest, you get a minimum of a 10-to-1 ratio. So what does that mean? So if you invest $20,000 or $2,000 a year for 10 years, it's going to give you a return on your investment for long-term care of $200,000, because it's going to build up over time and accumulate interest, and it's going to be something that can be used for long-term care. Now, the biggest benefit of this type of product is that once it's enacted, you're not asked to give justification or accountability. It's going to pay you out on what you agreed upon, which means the payment terms, once a month over 48 months, or you could have it over a shorter amount of time. It's your choice when you sign up for the policy, right? So once it starts paying out, you use it. It comes to you in an income tax-free shelter. If you don't use it all, it's okay, right? It's used, it's distributed to you, and then the care you receive is paid for, and it doesn't come out of your savings. Okay, so that's really what the benefit of that is. It doesn't hurt your savings. It doesn't attack any of your game plan for retirement, and you set aside money for that. Does that make sense?
Yep, it sure does. Probably at some point I'm going to need to talk to you. I'm 71. Is it too late for me to try to get involved in that? Try to get that type of a policy, or if that's what you call it.
Yeah, so we would have to discuss it not online and live because it's private. But
Right.
the key thing is that you might not be eligible for a prior injury and condition, and I don't know that. We'd have to go into underwriting to find that out. But there are other ways to put money aside in the form of savings that you could use for long-term care that not necessarily just have a long-term care quote package, right? Or
Right.
policy or implementation. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, and we could think outside the box if that's something that you need, because I expect that your wife is not going to grow and become an Amazonian woman in the latter point of her years and going to be able to help you if you end up falling to get back up, right? That's going to be a
Right.
difficult task. Um, and so she might be fit enough to help you with your assistance to get you back up if you, God forbid, fell. But when you get older, you can also hurt yourself helping someone else, right? So you don't
Right.
want to put then you have two people that are down and out instead of one. So it's always good to plan ahead, like you're saying, and have that conversation so it makes a difference.
Okay. Very good. I'm glad we went there and we went there right away. So I hope there's a lot of people out there. Um, to get a hold of Bill, and he's Fund Your Legacy is his, I guess, his subtitle. And you can see his website right below his name there. And to get a hold of Bill, go to his website and his telephone number. Bill, if you would like to change that website and put your telephone number there for a little while, for maybe 15 minutes, and then we'll go back. Go ahead and put your telephone number on there so people can call you and talk to you.
Okay.
That's probably a good idea. But he has a way of contacting him off his website too. Um, he's got a lot of information on his website. He has a blog that he writes different articles about. One was called "How Does Life Insurance Work in the LGBTQ plus Community? What is a buy and sell agreement, and how can I help my family business?" That's interesting. What financial planning should I do for my blended family? How do I fund a special needs trust for my child? He's got a whole bunch in here, so there's a lot of information. You have any financial advice for a small business owner? And that is one that I probably would have read and have my son read because he just started his painting contracting business. He just got his license, so he needs to probably talk to you about insurance and stuff like that on that. Um, and it says, do I need to be in perfect health to get life insurance? That's a good one. And what financial advice do you need as an older single adult? So those are all good ones. Um, like I always tell people, I design websites for people and their businesses, and I always tell them to blog about different things that are in your field, so people will have ways of answering them. Because when you have a website, it's just got basic information. But a blog is something that you can go into real detail on a specific subject. And I saw that Bill did this, so that's good. Um, the he also his services is now when you said Transamerica, is that the main insurance company that you work through?
So 90% of what I do is through Transamerica. I'm also a signed agent with 37 other companies, but 90% of what I do is through Transamerica because of pricing and or benefit to the end user. And what do I mean by that? If you're buying a term insurance policy, they have the lowest rates in the industry, so you get the biggest bang for your buck. The other benefit of their term policy that's brand new is that you can convert a term into a whole life or uh, a variable life product anytime during the duration of that term. Unlike our competition that charges you to do that, we do not charge you to do that as a rider, and you could convert that uh, relatively, quickly because it's going to rate you when you first got the policy, and so that's the benefit of a term package through Transamerica. They also have one product that is superior to everyone else in the industry. Um, that when people meet with me, I'll share it with them. I'll just share that it's impossible to lose money on this product because it has a floor of 0.43. For those of you who don't know what that means, it means that it's impossible for you to lose money, meaning that even in the worst case scenario, that product will have a positive 0.43. So what does that mean? If you have a 401k and despite who's in the Oval Office, Democrat, Republican, or Independent, the market goes down. And just like it did this past year and the previous years, it goes down 28 or 36%. They're losing their money on their 401k. This product will not go below that floor of positive 0.43. So therefore, while everybody else is crying that their value has gone down, your product will not go below that floor of positive 0.43. So there's no way to lose money, right? But on the flip side,
when you say this product, what product are you talking about?
I'm talking about a mid-cap product. It's a blended product. It's a combination of a mutual fund and a life insurance policy. Okay. And so the product itself has performed really well in the last 15 years at 8.79% in an income tax-free market. But because it's a 200% mid-cap, it means it produces twice that number. So those of you who are good at math, if you multiply 2 times 8.79%, well, that number's in that 17 to 18% return. And if you look at that, it grows income tax free. So you're getting 17% and change year in and year out as an average. And if you keep that product growing for 15 years, there's a strong likelihood that it's going to double, if not triple, in that 15-year period based on that average return. Now, what does that mean? It means that one year might perform at 3% and you still earn 6, and the next year might perform at 15% and you earn 30. But overall, it's going to perform at between 7 and 9% year in and year out, and you get double that amount. So it's a really strong investment product that is under the shell of a life insurance policy, so they'll has a death benefit on the small, right? And therefore, that's how it grows income tax free. So it's really important that if you're looking for a savings vehicle for retirement, and this might be the thing that's appropriate for you, we don't know, for you, so you can fund long-term care, right? So that's just something to think about, but it helps people.
Is there a name for it?
Well, I'm just going to say that if they contact me through my website, I'll be more than happy to share the name with them in person. I don't want to say the name over this because I think it's best if I tell the people individually.
Okay, so it's like a hybrid then
between
insurance, life insurance, and something else then. Is that what you said?
Yep. So it has the shell of a life insurance so that you can earn money income tax free. It has the growth that you're going to have that's stock market based, but not just stock market. And so it's a mixture, and it's really the best that the company has to offer, which is Transamerica. That's really their number one product right now.
Okay, do you talk about this on your website at all, or is this something they have to talk to you face to face or telephone to telephone?
They can reach out. We can set up a Zoom to discuss if they're not within a 90-mile drive, or we could do it over the phone. But I'm not limited by geography, so anybody within the confines of the United States I can work with.
Very good. That's interesting. I never. Is anybody else offering something like this? I've never heard of it myself. So it's a unique product to Transamerica, and you have to be a Transamerican agent in order to offer it. Oh, I see. Okay. I've been writing some notes here too. So um, maybe you could write a little bit about this thing without naming it, and we could put it up on a blog. I think this would be pretty interesting. Um, okay. Do you offer regular life insurance policies too?
Yeah, we have whole life and term life. So we do offer that. It's one of the myriad of services that we do offer. For people that don't know the difference, um, term life is for a fixed period of time, hence the word term, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, and 30-year. And it's based on when we do a financial analysis, the amount of coverage you would need. So instead of getting mortgage protection, say on your newly bought home, and say the home is worth $500,000, instead of getting mortgage protection, which only protects the lender, in case you're unaware of that, you deny that on your application for a mortgage, and you get mortgage protection through life insurance, but you get it in decreasing amounts, meaning that for the first 10 years, you might have it at 500,000. And then, as you know, the value of the house and what you owe in the mortgage decreases year after year. So now you need less and less coverage. Well, as that coverage goes down, so does the cost. So you do a variance of the amount that you would need. So it saves you. So in the last 5 years of having a mortgage, you might only have $100,000 term policy because that's all you need to cover your mortgage, right? Now, a term does not have cash accumulation. The purpose is to give you protection or peace of mind while you're either paying your mortgage off or for other benefits. Like if you have a young family and you can't afford whole life or you don't think you can afford whole life, you buy a term policy to protect you. God forbid that you pass before the child is able to take care of themselves at, say, age 24 to 26, right? And they have their first big boy or big girl job and they're on their own. So it's term has a use, but it doesn't have cash accumulation. When you go to whole life, it has a death benefit, just like term does, but it does not have cash accumulation in the form of a big return. It's a fixed annual return, somewhere between 2 and 4%, that's returned to you in an income tax free basis that it actually increases your death benefit as the cash accumulation grows. So that's the biggest benefit of whole life is income free tax accumulation, alternate form of savings, death benefit in case something goes wrong, and you have that little nest egg to cover your bills and expenses. Do I
I
make
see.
sense on those ones?
Yep. Makes a lot of sense. I'm sure it does for a lot of people, but I'm sure there's a lot of things that people need to talk to you about. And that's why we'll probably have you on a podcast on a regular basis, if you don't mind. We can talk about maybe points of interest that a lot of people talk to you about that want to bring up that would like to get a better handle on things, especially someone that's younger too. So this is a good place. John's Coffee Chat is a good thing to talk about and to have on here. Um, Now I can see that we have we're at the 40-minute mark, so we have about 20 minutes left, a little bit less than 20. Tell us about some of the other services that you provide, and are all of them provided by Transamerica? And before we go there, why Transamerica? I've heard of it, but I don't know much about the company. Why did you go with Transamerica versus someone else? Tell us a little bit about that.
So, besides the culture and the climate and the quick underwriting, and underwriting is just how long it takes for the product to, from the time of an initial meeting to being completed and available to you, the coverage. Um, I just think that their products are superior. They have unique products, and it gives the client slash customer slash friend slash opportunity to really share in getting the biggest value for their hard-earned dollars. By having the best rates in the industry for term policy, it gives people coverage and protection that's second to none. I guess, and another reason is that that product I was describing that's unique to Transamerica, that's where I put my life savings into. So I just think that it's just far superior to everything else out there, and it really if you let it do what it's supposed to do, you'll be thankful that you met me or you heard my words on this podcast, because it's really a game changer.
Very interesting. How long have you been with Transamerica?
I've been officially with them just under 4.5 months. I've been doing this for quite a while, but I've been with Transamerica that short amount of time. But I got recruited to come over, and when I saw what they were adding into their portfolio, I was really excited because it can make a huge difference into a lot of people's lives.
Now, it sounds like it. What are some of the other services that you provide? I
So
know on the website, if you hit the services button, it says aging parents, special needs children, generation. What is sandwich generation?
sure. So the sandwich generation is 25% of our population. So it's parents who have children, and the parents are between the ages of 30 and 50, and they're stuck in the middle because they have aging parents of their own, they have their own retirement to worry about, and they have their children. And so they're caught in the middle. So what do they save for first? How do they get organized? So the services that I offer is to get them organized and figure out what their priorities are. So, is college important for someone? And how do you save for it? Or are they going to go into the trades, but you still want to make sure that your children are provided for? So, there's a way to organize that. And it's definitely not through a 529 plan. Um, you then have the retirement for the parents to worry about, because you don't know at that age if Social Security will be around for them. So you want to set up a pension for them so they're taken care of. And then you have an aging parent. So you want to talk with your parents, get their wishes in writing, get it organized, and help them while they're still young enough to either get long term care organized and even get a long term care package, but also for that same parent to not be a burden to their children, get a long-term care policy in place as well, so that they have their wishes in writing and organized. So they're caught in the middle, and they are pulled in. Their time is pulled in helping in three different ways. It's almost like that old cartoon character Gumby, because you're being stretched in four different directions simultaneously.
Right, right. Um, I like how you did call it the sandwich, but I also, Dave Ramsey has a thing called the snowball effect. And so you got to figure out what you're going to pay, and then you get connected, and then you do a snowball effect and just get started on it. Sometimes it's just the hardest thing is to get started, and then things have a way of just falling into place too. So, um,
Yep.
what are some of the enjoyment? You said you like to help people. So tell me a little bit about that. How do you help people with your, with the different features and things that you offer with your insurance company or financial guidance?
So the first thing I do is I sit down and listen, and I try to get them organized. And so, for free, I teach them how to do a budget. I get them into thinking about their goals, wishes, and desires. What does retirement look like? How many vacations do they want to take a year? And I do a financial analysis, which is cash in and cash out. And we try to figure out what their disposable income is. And from their disposable income, we try to determine, is there going to be enough there to set aside for retirement, or do they need to get a secondary job? And if they need to get a secondary job, then I can refer them to somebody that I know that's hiring for a secondary job that's not so time consuming, and it gives them an additional stream of income. So I've thought this out because a lot of people don't have a ton of free time, but this specific secondary job is probably 3 to 5 hours a week and could earn them as much as $1,500 to $2,000 extra per month on residual
Wow.
income. So it's enough to make a difference, but it's not life changing, but it gives them that extra income so that they can afford to set aside for their retirement. They can set aside for long term care, but also that they could have a nice meal or two in regular life and not have to skimp and save on what they're earning.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I should have my wife talk to you about that. She's 72, and she got in a car accident about 3 months ago and totaled her car and broke her foot and all kinds of things. She was working at Hobby Lobby, but she can no longer do that. So now she's actually looking for a part-time job, maybe working out of home with the computer and stuff like that.
Yep, this is
So
working from home, from your computer. Um, it's something that we should talk about, as an opportunity for, look, it also helps people because one of the services that it offers is healthcare or health share, right? And so it is something that you can offer that either can save people money on bills that they're paying anyway, or offer them the ability to save money on their health insurance and lower the monthly premium, but also their deductible, lower it to a low amount. And for senior citizens, which you qualify for, it's a very low introductory rate. And it could be as low, um, shockingly low, especially as supplemental insurance to Medicare or Medicaid. But you have to qualify for it. So I can't promise that it would work, but it's worth a try, just because of the cost savings and the benefits it brings. And one of the benefits is prescription plan, which they have a list of 1,500 or so standardized drugs and what they pay. And for people that are the average, the average amount of prescription drugs that a senior takes is usually between 2 to 6 prescription drugs per family, not per person, right? So if you look at that, they have numbers that are extremely low, for name brands, not generics, that could be as low as $4, $6, $8 as opposed to when you go to your pharmacy and you get charged a copay of $60 or above. So
right.
it's pretty amazing. And that money saved on the prescription alone would pay for your monthly, your monthly benefit of belonging to the health share. So it's something that's really cool. And of course, John, we'll discuss it offline, but that's one way I can help people.
Okay, very good. I'm glad I did this today with you, Bill, because it'll help us too. Um, do you think this is something you could write a blog about, this type of thing, or is this would be more individual oriented?
Because of HIPAA rules, it's more individual oriented, but it doesn't take long, meaning that a 15-minute conversation with me, while you're on Zoom, we plug in your address, your name, so for your state of residence, right? And then your age, and we let you know what the cost will be. We then apply, and you're notified pretty quickly. I can tell you one positive thing that happened over this past weekend. Person who was in intense pain was in the emergency room and in Texas, and the hospital did not quote accept this insurance. So she said, call the customer service while they were on the line. They called the customer service, a human answered the phone, and within 10 minutes, the hospital accepted that insurance. And then she went under the knife for, getting a body part removed. I don't want to go in great detail, but a body part removed. There was appendicitis
Okay.
attack, and then in that body part removed, she was home within 24 hours, and the operation was covered. Aside from the fact of the $150 copay. So
Wow.
sitting on a gurney, talking to a humanoid, and getting it resolved all within 20 minutes. That doesn't happen with regular insurance, right?
No, it don't. No, it doesn't.
And it's pretty amazing. Now, the best part is that it helped the human not go into debt like $30,000 to have a life-threatening emergency, appendicitis, happen and be taken care of. So that's the beauty of this. So again, it's something that should be shared, especially if people want to save money and then redirect that savings into their retirement plan or their college savings, right? So that's really the benefit of it.
Wow. Yeah, because I know in America, our medical is really behind the rest of the world, and a lot of people have had to file for bankruptcy. I was reading something about 60% of people that file for bankruptcy has been because of their medical. And then the other 30% out of that comes from their credit cards that they use on their medical.
Yes.
So you're talking about 90% on medical, and it's not like this in the rest of the world. So we got to be very creative here to be able to.
The next time we meet, I'm going to come with a video that will show you this, and it'll give you the background, and it'll show you exactly how it helps. So anyway,
okay,
that's one of the.
I'm glad you said that, because I got to figure out how to hook up a video on here too on the podcast. We never had anybody do that, but I know there's a way of doing it. So I will figure that out before we connect the next time.
Good.
We still have a little bit of time left here. Is there anything in particular you'd like to talk about for the next 7 minutes?
I would love an opportunity to work with all the listeners. And if you just have any questions or concerns, I can promise you this, it'll just be a conversation, because in order to help you, you might not even know you have a problem or something that exists. I could just do a quick 5-minute financial health checkup with you and determine your level between 1 to 5, as to 1, dire emergency, 5, you're the most organized and prepared person ever, and sit with you and say, okay, here are my recommendations free of charge. And if you would like to set up a secondary meeting, we can do so and then take it from there. But at least you'll get recommendations to improve your current situation. So it's realistically an opportunity to help and to get you in the right frame of mind, because everybody needs this. Not everybody thinks about it.
Right. What does it say in scripture about my people perish for lack of knowledge? So you are one of those people that we need to go to, specifically when somebody wants a website or graphic design done. They get a hold of me, because that's what I do. But a lot of people do a lot of different things, and you're one of those people that has a lot of information, and we don't always think about these different things. I think some of these things scare us a little bit. How are we going to pay for if we die? How are we going to pay for that? How are we going to pay for health care when we get older and stuff like that? So there's a lot of things that we say in the back of our mind, I will deal with this later, but many times later never comes. So, Bill, you have a lot of stuff to give out. I want to tell people again to get a hold of Bill, Bill Walters. You can see his website right there. He's got different ways on the website of getting hold of him, but he also, what is Fund Your Legacy? What do you mean by that exactly?
So when you when you create a savings plan or a retirement plan, it's how you do it, right? So funding your legacy or creating a memory or getting organized or funding that matters. These are all important guidelines or important things to think about because you want to not only do better for your kids or your loved ones, but you also want to create a plan that leaves a lasting memory, a thankfulness for someone below you, right? And it doesn't always have to be a relative. It could be a charity. It could be helping a friend, making the difference in their final stages of their life to actually put food on their table or to get the help that they need and deserve, right? Because we both agree that the economics of retirement aren't necessarily cut out for our best benefit, especially when it comes to medical concerns. So just making a difference in someone's life, right? And the best day to start the planning is today, not tomorrow, not next week, but today.
Very good. Very good. Um, with the 2 minutes that we got, anything that you want to add to any of this? Or did we pretty much cover everything that you wanted to make sure that we covered today?
I would just ask that the people would pray for the health and well-being of our government and ask them to have wisdom and discernment when they're caretaking for us or in our place, and that we should put our trust into God um, to make sure that He knows how we feel, even though He already knows how we feel. We need to verbalize and develop that relationship with Him to push in, and in the silence, the answers will come. And that do not lose faith. Uh, you need to work uh, on a daily basis to refine that. Iron sharpens iron, right? So refine your relationship with the Lord on a daily basis, and it will pay huge dividends as the form of mental health and well-being, the loving yourself. Because once you love yourself, then you can reach out and love on others, right, and help them. So that's all I ask.
Good point. Um, I know with the day and age that we live in, there's a lot of chaos going on. And I can't believe how things have changed in 5 years. It's like our core beliefs in this country have gone out the window. And now, I grew up in the late 60s and early 70s where Vietnam was all going on and all the riots in the streets. But there's something else going on now that is really totally different than that. It was like the young people against the old people, but now it's like left against right. People wanting to, getting mad at each other and causing all kinds of crazy stuff. There's every day. And when we talk to somebody like you, Bill, you kind of calm us down a little bit and say, okay, there's a direct way of dealing with all of this stuff. So I'm going to right there. We got only a couple, less than a minute here. Thank you, everyone who is here with us. Our next episode of Jaws Coffee Talk will be aired sometime in June. We haven't picked it out, but we will let everyone know with Bill. I have to schedule that and get that together with him. And again, I wanted to thank you, Bill, for being on our program with us today.
Thank you as well. Blessings to you and your family and to all the listeners, and enjoy your week.
Okay. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Take care.